Hello and welcome to Two Across, the podcast where two friends sitting on opposite sides of the Atlantic catch up over a crossword. I'm Rob, sitting in Montreal.
And I'm Theo, sitting in London.
Hello, Theo. I can detect a little bit from the tone of voice that there may be some sickness creeping into your pre-Christmas life.
Yes, that is very astute of you, Rob. I am feeling slightly under the weather, but I'm so used to feeling like this come December every year that it doesn't really feel like that much of a talking point, because it's just that general thing, isn't it? Especially when you've got young kids and you just feel like you're up to your eyeballs in germs most of the time, and inevitably, I'm just chain linking colds at the moment. But you don't sound top form yourself.
No, I'm very much in the same boat of pre-Christmas low lull of illness visiting. But I'm actually happy to get that hopefully out of the way. And as you say, not daisy chain a number of sicknesses all the way to Christmas. It would be nice to have this sort of out of the way and then enter the season with a clean bill of health. Because often on my side, this tends to come in just about the 23rd, 24th and mar the first week of Christmas. So I'm hoping this will nip that in the bud.
So I'm taking vitamins at the moment in an effort to stave off, which is obviously going really well because I am obviously currently sick. But yeah, I thought last winter I started taking vitamins just to try and boost the vitamin D particularly. And it seemed to work quite well last winter. I didn't get many colds, but this year I seem to have defaulted to the norm again. We'll see.
But this is the COVID rebound year. This is what I'm hearing from everyone on both sides of the Atlantic, is that everyone was getting really sick this autumn. And in the sort of glory years or two after COVID ended, everyone seemed in quite rude health. And now the normal background illnesses that we always get in a season have all come back to roost, and everyone seems to be sick. At least that was my observation this fall.
That makes sense. Our immune systems, it's like the honeymoon is over and it's all just back to how it always has been. But I like that idea that colds are ghosts of pandemics past. Have you heard that theory that every cold we get is a variation of a virus that once upon a time would have caused COVID levels of carnage across the globe when people first encountered them, but now they've sort of, mutated into variations that cause sniffles essentially, but little else, because of course it's not in the virus's interests to kill its host. It's in the interests of the virus to change into a form that means that the carrier stays alive. So
yes,
I quite like that idea. Every time I get a cold, I'm like, oh, I wonder, was this the great,
was this the Spanish flu or?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, Spanish flu is one of them. No doubt there are many others as well. But they're little like craters on the moon. They're just, as I say, little reminders of traumas past.
Yeah, exactly. Of great impacts past. That was a theory I remember in COVID times, which I generally try to block out of my memories. But I remember there was some theorizing of when will we get a mutation that is even more transmissible, but much more benign. And that will be the COVID killer more than anything else, because it'll almost act like a prophylaxis, like a vaccine. It'll go around and infect everyone, build up the antibodies to COVID, but not be that severe. And I think that's what has sort of happened, right? I mean, you hear of lots of people getting COVID these days. I've not been vaccinated in probably 2 or 3 years. No. And I've had no doubt COVID in the last 2 or 3 years, but I have never had anything that severe. So,
well, every time I have a cold, like everyone else now, at the back of your mind, you're thinking, is this one COVID? Could be. Don't know. Yeah. And unless you work in a kind of medical setting like my other half does, then you don't feel the need to test yourself regularly. So maybe it is the ghost of COVID coming back to haunt me once more, but who knows. Anyway, let's move on.
Yep.
How's your week been?
Yeah, not bad. A lot of pre-Christmas rush, getting ready for all the madness. We're doing a pre-Christmas Christmas tonight with my family because we're not going to be in North America for Christmas. So we found a turkey, but a funny story on the finding of the turkey is it's actually hard to find a whole turkey on December the 8th, it turns out.
Already they're sold out, are they?
Well, not sold out. They don't have them ready.
Oh, I see. They're not actually in stock. Okay.
Yeah, that's it. We passed our Thanksgiving in October, and other than a frozen turkey at the supermarket, the butchers, because there's a great food and vegetable market down with a whole slew of butchers all in a big hall, and none of the butchers stocked a turkey. So Isabel roamed about yesterday, and she managed to assemble a Frankenturkey. So what she's found is one place had a whole turkey carcass. I don't know, sorry for vegetarian listeners, apologies, with all the parts except for the drumsticks. It's still attached. So it was breast and wing and whatever. And then she found another place that only had the drumsticks and thighs. So she's basically assembled a Frankenturkey. So I was saying we should sew it together with a sort of steel thread this evening and cook the Frankenturkey.
Wow. Yeah. That's quite macabre.
I
believe it's called the turkey crown, is it not, when it's a turkey without the legs?
Maybe, yeah. So it's probably, so she got a turkey crown and then she got the appendages because brown meat is best, at least for me.
We have this annual debate in our family over what form of bird we're going to cook on Christmas Day. And recent years, we've tended to go duck, but because it tends to be smaller than a turkey, and only actually myself and my parents-in-law eat meat. My wife is vegetarian and my kids do, but they're not really big enough to have a huge amount of it. So it's never made sense. But this year I have this thing about I want the kids to have a turkey just because that's the kind of the traditional thing, and I think they should have a memory of that and whatever. But we still have quite a small number who need it, and you can't really get a small turkey, obviously. But but my father-in-law particularly feels quite strongly that you have to have an intact bird in order for it to be, a proper Christmas lunch.
I agree with him.
I do sympathise with. Yeah, I think there is merit to that argument, but that doesn't mean we're going to have huge amounts of leftovers, which, is not necessarily a bad thing. But hey, maybe an option that I hadn't really considered, inspired by your Frankenturkey idea. Could you not take a turkey crown and then sew on some smaller legs?
There you go. Yeah. So you could even get them from another bird. You could get some goose legs attached to your turkey crown.
Then it really is a Frankenturkey.
Yeah, then it really is. Yeah.
And it could get more and more kind of bizarre and comedic each year as you start attaching bits of one year.
Someone likes a bit of capon, someone likes a bit of goose, someone wants a little bit of quail, and so you have a very tiny, tiny little wing on the side of your turkey crown.
Sew it all on there. It's a variation on the the 10-bird roast idea where you have ever increasing, like Russian dolls of
the turducken.
Yes, exactly. It's a variation on that, I suppose, that you're combining lots of different birds together in one, but nevertheless doesn't really chime, as you say, with our times, shall we say.
I think there's a lot of people that would be very offended if you bring out the multi-bird roast with maybe a pork shoulder sewn to the side.
That could really put a dampener on the festivities.
Yeah, absolutely.
So I will share maybe one quick thought before we dive into the crossword today.
Yes.
Which is I read an article shortly before coming on air about the Oxford English Dictionary word of the year, which is apparently brain rot. And it pertains to the idea that doom scrolling is shortening our attention spans, and this kind of compulsion to be online that we all increasingly suffer from is doing great damage to our health and or to our mental acuity. So I just wanted to quickly get your thoughts on that, because I know that you've sort of battled against the brain rot, perhaps more ferociously than I have.
Well, it's coming, friend. You've only a matter of a year or two before the phone enters some little person's life, and then it's difficult. We're fighting that fight most ardently with my middle child. The older child's a bit more responsible with phone use, and I think I've mentioned on the pod before that he struggles, but you can observe their screen time. It's crazy. How did you spend 5 hours average this week? I sit him down, it's like, you spent more time looking at a screen if you combine that with computer time than you did in school this week. And that makes me sound like a very irresponsible parent. And then he'll say, oh, no. I mean, the average for a kid in Westmount, which is a part of Montreal, is apparently 5.5 hours a day. I said, that doesn't make that a good thing. Yeah. But I find they use it, much as we do, as time filler, as I feel bored, I feel anxious, I feel whatever. And then they'll grab the phone and just do something. And I'll ask him, what are you doing? And he doesn't even really know. He's just mindlessly doing stuff. There's also the idea of what I've heard of time confetti, that the phone and the way our lives are sort of scheduled into these little hour blocks, like, for instance, 1 hour for recording a podcast with a friend. Sure. And then you end up with all these little snippets of nothing between, like 15 minutes between this and your next thing and whatever and whatever. And what tends to fill time confetti is not something meaningful, it's phone. And so phone fills the void of all the little breaks in our lives. And it, definitely erodes our ability, A, to be present, and B, to do things at a slower pace. It's like, oh no, we got to fill this with something. And so
boredom is dead. The idea that you just are alone with your thoughts for any stretch of time now is anathema to lots of young people and lots of people our generation too. It's probably unfair to pin this entirely on the young. You know, I think it's something we all have to fight. And there was an analogy used in this article I read about it that was with this experiment to do with bottomless soup, which is where if you give a person a bowl of soup and keep topping it up, they'll just keep eating the soup until it goes way beyond their sort of fullness level. They will just keep grazing. And the same happens with internet content, that, you know, this kind of endless scroll that so many of these, well, all of these social media networks now employ, just means that you just keep on going and going and going and don't stop until, you know, if you sat that person down and asked them what they'd actually just watched or read or consumed, they wouldn't be able to tell you. It's just something there to fill that short attention span. And it pertains to another thing that I've been reading recently, inspired by you, which is this book, Strangers to Ourselves.
Yes.
By a psychologist called Timothy, I forget his surname, but anyway, I'll look it up by the end of the show so we can credit him properly. Anyway, it's very interesting on the subconscious and just the sheer amount of information in our brains that we're not conscious of.
Yeah, and decision-making that we're not conscious of.
Yeah, absolutely. And it seems to me that this sort of endless doom scrolling is just filling that small percentage of consciousness that we have in our brains and suppressing everything else. And clearly that's not good, because the reason that this article was being written was because scientific research has been done into the impact of doom scrolling on brains, and it's not positive. But anyway,
well, just before we end that, actually, because it's very topical, because did you see what Australia did last week?
No, I didn't.
They passed a social media ban for all children under 16.
Right.
So they have, learning from the research, they've taken a decision as a government, as a society, to say that it's not appropriate for children to be on social media until they hit at least 16. And they've banned it. Now that everyone's asking, how are you going to implement it? How are you going to implement age controls and so forth? Because they're so easy to circumvent. But as a statement, it's very interesting. And I think a lot of eyes in our societies are going to be following that to see how that goes. Because I honestly, if I were to do one thing, if I could go back in time and somehow not give my kids iPhones, I would do it. I would do it in a heartbeat. I would give them flip phones. You could say it's cruel because they can't keep in touch with their friends. And I get that. I see the argument, but I feel that the damage that's being done greatly outweighs the benefits to them in their social lives of having these things. And it's a sad moment when you hand your children its first smartphone, to be perfectly honest with you.
And if you have the law on your side, it's much easier as a parent to say, no, you can't, because it's not legal, you know, and that's why the passing of the law is important, because it empowers parents to make that decision. I've always tried to be quite liberal with our kids and hope that they can develop their own critical faculties and their own self-control. But when it comes to screens, and particularly small screens that you can hold in your hand. That is incredibly difficult to do. And it's like
impossible.
Overcoming any form of addiction.
Yeah.
You need restrictions and controls in place, because otherwise it does just go unabated. Anyway, I'm sure this is a subject, well, it is a subject already that we've returned to on more than one occasion, and we'll no doubt keep discussing, but
this won't be the last time.
It will not be the last time. But let's move on to the crossword and try and stave off our own brain rot this week.
Let's go to the crossword, because crossing words is fun.
All right, so we are doing quick crossword number 17,034. Theo, I did the intro. You want to take our listeners through the crossword rules and regulations?
I will do. As always, it's very straightforward. We do the crossword blind, and as in not wearing blindfolds, but not having seen any of the clues in advance. We don't cheat. We don't check anything. If we get stuck, we just sort of wade onwards through the mire until we eventually come to some kind of outcome. I will time us for 30 minutes, and I'm going to set that off now. So do play along if you're so minded to do, because it's often quite hard to get a sense of the shape of the crossword just from our voice prompts alone. But you do what you need to do, and if either way, if you're listening to us, we are highly, highly grateful. So keep doing that. Right, one across, Rob. Pronouncement, 6 letters. Did I say which crossword we're doing, by the way?
I did.
You did. Excellent.
17,034. Okay. And there will be a link in the show notes for anyone who wants to play along at home.
As ever. So pronouncement, 6 letters, that could be like a claim, but that doesn't fit.
Yeah.
Or we had propaganda last week, didn't we?
Which, we did.
We failed to get. But the clue for that, I think, was assertion. But again, that doesn't fit. So let's try and get some
assertion
downs.
Designed to influence opinion or something along those lines.
Yeah, which we felt was a slightly odd clue for propaganda. Not bitter.
Not better.
2 down, love, wild, or poster. 5.
Yeah.
Okay.
So word that follows all of these words. Love something. What?
I think I've got it, Rob.
What is it?
Is it child?
Oh, yeah. Yeah. Child. Yeah, perfect.
You can be a poster child, can't you?
You can be a poster child.
For a cause.
We're the poster children for angry dads at social media and screen influence on children.
Yeah, because there aren't enough of those in
Not enough of those.
Podcasting realm.
Maybe we're poster men.
Poster men. Yeah. Okay, so that gives us some letters to work with. Oh, here's a nice one. 11 across. Brothel creep. Sorry, not brothel creeper. Brothel keeper.
Because that could be
letters.
Ivy, for instance.
Yeah, indeed. With a third letter of D.
Yep. And I believe it is also a palindrome.
Because I was going to say pimp, but obviously that doesn't work. Yeah, go on. What is it?
D in the middle. It's a palindrome. You can make a bigger one of them, like Madam, I'm Adam. But I believe it is a madame, isn't it?
Oh, a madame, yeah. Okay, nice.
So 1 down is leave suddenly, and it has an M as its second last letter. It's 6 letters long. Leave suddenly. I have an idea, but I don't know if it's right.
Which has a 5th letter of M.
Which has a 5th letter of M. It could be decamp.
Oh, yeah.
But I don't know what that does for our pronouncement, so I'm still not sure about that.
Well, if that's correct, it means our pronouncement is now D blank C blank 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 pronouncement.
Correct.
Oh, no.
Oh, could it be a dictum?
Oh, dictum. Yeah, that would work.
Is that a pronouncement, or is that
a dictat?
Yeah, I think dictat would be better, because a dictum is more like an axiom, isn't it? Or a saying, like a...
I believe so. Yes, I think a dictat is a sort of instruction from the higher authorities, you know.
Okay. Let's look at 9 across before we confirm that. 9 across, if were it decamp, it would start with C, and it would be a game designed to test one's nerve. 7 letters long. First letter C, potentially. And third letter I. Oh, what is it?
Well, it slightly links to our earlier conversation about birds and poultry.
Oh, yes. Very nice. A game of chicken, yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, then I think I would be comfortable putting in decamp. And then we just have to see if this diktat, the A, would give us 3 down, which we can maybe turn our attention to now.
And the clue for that is dishevelled. 7 letters. Interestingly, has a third letter of K.
Yes.
And a first letter of A and a fifth letter of M.
Yes.
Dishevelled. There's a word, and it's on the tip of my tongue.
You know what? Maybe dictum's still right, and then I think that would put a U there, and then I do know something that would work for disheveled.
Ooh. If it's dictum rather than tat.
Yeah, because
Sorry.
tum rather than tat, like U space K space M, 2 spaces for disheveled.
Oh, unkempt.
Yeah.
I think it must be dictum then.
All right. Maybe I didn't know my dictum from my diktat.
The teenage boy inside is really enjoying this exchange.
Is chortling along.
Chortling along, indeed. Okay, we've got a nice double worder here, right in the middle.
Yeah, I'm seeing that too.
13 across. Underhand schemes designed to smear an opponent.
It sounds like the underhanded scheme of yours last week in your faulty handshake. So maybe you will know what this is.
Try to break my tennis opponent's thumb.
Yes.
Did I tell you the follow up to that? I didn't think I told you the follow up, which is.
I think our listeners want to know.
Well, the follow up doesn't involve. So mercifully, I'm pleased to report that my friend's thumb was okay.
Okay.
After my dodgy handshake resulted in administering a severe jolt of pain. However, what then happened the following week? I was playing a different friend of mine, and he rolled his ankle really, really badly, and to the point where he had to go to hospital. Not directly because of me, I hasten to add. I mean, I did wrong foot him with my incredible skill.
Yes.
On the tennis court, but it was obviously I wasn't pushing him over or something. So yeah, I sort of felt cursed that I've now been the cause, directly or indirectly, of 2 tennis-related injuries.
Yeah.
To my recent opponents. So
they're going to start referring to you at the tennis club as the Black Widow.
They are.
Here he comes. Don't play with him.
Avoid that guy. Yeah, if you value your physiology.
Yeah.
So what could an underhand scheme designed to smear an opponent with a 4th letter of T on the first word, which is 5 letters, and then the second letter has 6.
Yeah, 6 letter, 5, 6.
Yeah, 5, 6.
It's
going to be something. Could it be something? Well, I was going to say tactic.
But the T's in the wrong place.
It's multiple.
Okay, yeah, tactic for the second word.
As in the second word, yeah. Oh, this is gonna be one of those, Rob.
I think we just need letters and it will come clear.
Okay.
I believe.
All right. Well, we could get the first letter of the second word if we can get 11 down, 8 down, which is 11 letters long, and the clue is charming words, ? Second letter of N.
Ooh. I think I might have an idea. Because when they have the question mark, for listeners, and longtime listeners will know this, it means they're being cheeky. So it's something like a charm. Well, a charm could be a spell, Theo.
Oh.
And then the second letter of N, I have an idea. I don't know if it fits, though. I think it could be invocations.
I was about to say I was like, there's a word like insurrections.
No, but you know what? I think actually, what about incantations? Does that fit?
Oh, incantations.
It doesn't. No, invocation fits and incantation doesn't.
Incantation singular.
Oh, but it's... Okay, I guess, because an incantation is words.
Yeah.
Ooh.
I think we could go with that as at least as a initial pencil. I really think that's... Or to go back to our very sort of early episodes, what we would call a light pen at the time when we were still doing them with pen and ink.
In the olden times.
In the olden times. The days of yore.
The stately days of yore.
When we recorded in black and white.
Yes.
I was actually listening to a former episode quite recently, just to sort of compare and contrast, and my major takeaway was you could tell that my internet connection was really bad back in series 1, because there was a lot of words cutting out halfway through and that kind of thing. So
we had a little bit of laggy stuff that we had to deal with, whereas now we're on lightning fast fiber. It's
not like the slickness with which we record these days. Yeah.
Season 2 is a whole other thing. And
it really is.
For season 3, folks, strap in. That's all I got to say.
We're going to be in 4K.
Oh my God. Mobile phone operating system, Theo, which would take the A from incantation and would be 7 letters long. And I think you operate on one of these phones, whereas I do not.
Oh, Android.
Yeah.
Now, I went Android to escape the clutches of the endless Apple upgrade cycle. And I have to say, Rob, I've never looked back.
I think I may go Android on the next one. And one of the reasons I was looking this week at, in fact, back to our earlier conversation about how to enhance parental controls on phones. The parental controls on iPhones are crap. They are utter garbage. And I watched a few mommy tech bloggers and other tech bloggers that were explaining how to secure their phone. And this one woman said, do not get your kid an iPhone.
Right. Yeah.
It is the worst thing to control. iPhone, basically, their screen time thing is, I think, deliberately garbage because obviously they want to get kids addicted. So they make it crap. But apparently Android, there's a lot more options and it's a lot better to securize and oversee your kids' telephone usage.
Well, that's the thing. Once you free yourself from the Apple ecosystem, I think it does give you many, many more options of different phone manufacturers. But also, it means you can get your kids something much lower tech and then they're not going to be sort of out of sync with what you're using.
Exactly.
So, do it, people. Be free.
Yeah. You heard it here.
So, celebrity model, 7 letters. This is 6 down. And assuming Android is correct, we have a 4th letter of O. And again, it's a question mark.
Yeah, it's celebrity model.
Oh, so it's going to be a slightly sideways celebrity model?
Yeah.
No, I might have to come back to that.
Yeah, let's come back. More. I think 7 down we can get. Okay. This will speak to the boys in us, Theo. Unscramble us, and in brackets, a secret message.
This is the sort of thing you would have to do in those lovely old books that we used to read when we were having proper childhoods in the 80s and 90s.
Yes, I don't like these modern childhoods.
Yes, quite so. We would have to decode a series of clues.
We would.
Do you remember those books that you used to read and you could choose your own direction through them?
Yeah, Choose Your Own Adventure.
Choose Your Own Adventure.
Yeah.
Those were a good example of those sorts of mysteries.
People still write them. So in this writing group that I go to sometimes, one of the guys was writing basically a computer version of a Choose Your Own Adventure. And so it was one of those ones where you'd say, do you want to befriend the robot or do you want to hit the robot with a bat? And then you choose which one. But on this one you click and then you go to the next section depending on what you chose. So it's a sort of modern take on the Choose Your Own Adventure. Yeah.
Interesting.
Yeah.
My son's favorite book at the moment, or one of his go-tos at bedtime, is You Choose, which is a brilliantly simple picture book where it just gives you a range of items on a page and says, you choose which one of these, food items you want to eat or hats you want to wear or whatever it is. And
I thought it was going to present them with moral dilemmas. It's like, you see the weak boy crying in the corner of the schoolyard. Do you go up and become a friend to him and pat him on the shoulder, or do you pelt him with rotten fruit and laugh with the other kids?
You choose. You choose. Yeah. That's what I should be doing, of course. But
totally.
I think someone out there should write that book.
And then you can evaluate whether your kid is evil or not, depending on the choices they make.
You need some really white lie options as well, don't you? That just to really confuse things. Like, but he's also being bullied because he did do something really bad.
Yeah, exactly.
You need a whole series that gets ever more complicated and grey until there are no right or wrong answers. It's just...
And that's when they're 18, and then you release them into the world. Okay, you've been through the last series of You Choose, now go.
Perfect. I think you've just successfully redesigned our education system.
Yeah.
In a heartbeat. That sounds perfect.
Between 2 clues. That's how we do it on Two Across. We solve all the world's dilemmas.
Yeah. Yeah.
But
we do. Just one crossword clue at a time.
Yep, absolutely.
How did we get onto that conversation? Decode. That was how we got onto it.
So decode gives us a C as the last letter of a 5-letter word for poisonous. A great Britney Spears song.
Oh, lovely. Toxic.
Yeah.
I'm toxic, you're been over.
Did you know that I'm toxic? Yeah.
Did I successfully disguise the fact I didn't know the lyrics there? I don't think I did.
No, I think it was great. I heard toxic.
Well, I just played a clip of it on Spotify, so that's
It's
why
the
it was
remix.
so accurate. Yeah.
Yeah.
So now Celebrity Model has intriguingly a third letter of X.
Yeah.
Oh dear.
I know. What about had a nibble? 4 letters long. 4 across, 6 letters long with the last letter of D.
I have a guess.
Nibble. I have nothing, so.
Could it be pecked?
Oh yeah, that could
Like
be
a
nice.
bird.
But then our celebrity model is becoming even more insane. It would be K space X space O space space.
That can't be right, can it?
That looks like a sci-fi word.
No. It's got to start with a vowel, surely. That word.
Maybe.
So not pecked, but it could be something like that, couldn't it? Like munched or...
Yeah. Nibble, yeah. Snacked? No, it doesn't fit.
Snacked. Oh, let's try and get one more.
Yeah, we need
Make
one more.
a record 5 down. You do a lot of this as a musician.
I know, and I'm not seeing it. Made a record.
Sorry, made a record. What do you do if you, you cut a track, don't you? Or in the olden days, you cut a track onto
Yes.
vinyl, but that's not, obviously doesn't work.
You press vinyl, but I wonder if it couldn't be made a record such as beat a record, like bested a time, but even then I don't see it. So.
Or it could just be as simple as noted, which
oh yes, that would be
is
good.
just you made
a record of something.
A record or something, but I don't know. That gives had a nibble a second letter of N.
Yeah.
Maybe we need to try and crack this 13 across again, underhand schemes designed to smear an opponent, because that will at least give us the final letter on our celebrity model.
Your tactics is still in the running because, although I really don't see this happening, because then that puts the last letter of C on our celebrity model, but it does. The second word starts with T now. It's 5 letters long and then 6 letters long. T is the second last letter of the first word, and T is the first letter of the...
If incantation is correct.
Yeah. Why don't we go down into the undiscovered country, because I feel we're getting mired.
Agreed.
Why don't we take
and we've got
15
12 minutes
down.
left, so we've got a motor.
Oh, we do have to motor. We have less.
Yeah.
We have more than half the crossword left. Okay, no more.
We do.
No more chatter. Occupy, 18 across, Theo, ends in T. Could that be inhabit?
I suppose it could, yeah.
Let's look at the B, which would be foundation, starting with a B potentially. Foundation.
And it can't be base, because that...
doesn't fit. But the H of inhabit does sit well with 14 down, which is a 7-letter word for receive a legacy.
Oh, inherit.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So,
Okay, sorry.
So there... Go ahead.
No, I was just going to say, I'm just going to guess things as quick as possible.
Yes, we have no time now.
Short on time, so I suggest you do the same. Don't tease me. If you know something, just
yell it out. Okay, got it.
Yell it out.
16 down, flinched with pain or embarrassment. It is a second letter of I, and it is 6 letters long, and it could be winced.
I like that, because they've used a word there that just you wouldn't use. You would use wince.
Yeah.
Rather than flinch. So I think that's great. What about 22 across, game of kings and queens? 5 letters.
This is where it breaks apart, because wouldn't that be chess?
But inherit has to be right.
I can't see it being anything else.
So come on, what other game of... Oh, no.
Like a card game of some sort?
Cards.
Yes. Yep. You got it.
Which... Is that too simple?
No, I think that's right.
I think it's right because 24 across is loathe, 6 letters, D blank T,
and then 3 spaces.
which has to be detest.
Yes, I think you're right about that.
So I think that all works. And then the final proof of the pudding will be 19 down, this foundation, which again, B is now B blank S blank S.
I know.
Assuming cards is correct.
Basis.
But, basis. Yes, not bases. Basis. Lovely.
Yeah.
Okay, this is good, Rob.
Yeah.
That was nice and quick. Bottom left corner.
We got a whole
Done.
section done.
So now 13 across, this underhand schemes designed to smear an opponent is blank I, blank T, blank. And then the second word begins with T.
Could it be dirty, something like dirty tactics?
Yeah.
Because dirty would fit, because it's space I, space T, space. And then tactics. Well, why don't we try tactics by looking at this? The C of tactics would be the first letter in a 7-letter word for push. I can't think of that.
I don't think it can be tactic just simply because it's a singular word.
Oh, yeah, you're right.
And they've said underhand schemes. But I think dirty is correct for the first word.
Oh, dirty tricks.
Dirty tricks, yes. It's coming together. Tricky Dicky.
Okay.
And all that.
Yeah.
He doesn't look quite so tricky these days, I think it's fair to say, Rob.
No.
In the grand scheme of modern presidents.
Yes.
He's definitely lost his crown.
Oh, no, his crown has been taken away and thrown in the mud. I love that Hunter S. Thompson, when Nixon died, and Hunter S. Thompson despised Nixon, and he wrote a eulogy, and it was something like they should have just dumped the body in the Hudson. You know, he had zero. Even at that late stage, after decades, he still absolutely detested Nixon. And when eventually there's a hagiography when a president dies, no matter how foul they were, and they're sort of enshrined as some special thing. And he was having none of that for Nixon. And I was wondering who is going to be the similar Hunter S. Thompson for Trump. I feel he needs a Hunter S. Thompson.
He does really, doesn't he? Yeah.
Anyway,
I remember listening to a thing with an interview with your fellow Canadian Malcolm Gladwell shortly after Trump's first election, where he said the thing is the backlash against Trump will be such that he will, effectively kind of immunize America against going for a far right president again. So he was trying to find positives, but I don't think that really you can say that now because obviously they've gone for a second round. So it'd be interesting.
Maybe they needed one more round for a full immunization. I mean, there was 2 jabs for COVID, Theo. So I think that's what we're looking at.
Yes, good point. Yeah. All right. So celebrity model 6 down now has, so it's 7 letters. Celebrity model ? And it's blank blank X blank O blank K. So what could it end in? O blank K. Could that has to be a C, doesn't it?
Yeah, or L, or R.
Oh yeah. Okay, it doesn't have to be a C. No.
Because it could be, if it was an R, it could be work, like something work. But I don't know what that would be.
Oh, waxwork.
Oh, of course. Well done, Theo.
That was a team effort because you getting work.
Ooh, and I think I know what how to nibble is now, Theo, because it's 3 spaces W space D. And I think your noted is right. I'm willing to put your noted in, and then it becomes space N space W space D. And
I'm not seeing it, Rob.
I believe it's nod.
Oh, lovely.
Like a beaver. A beaver gnaws at things, wood and...
Yeah.
Oh, the waxwork's great. Okay, good.
We just have the bottom right to go, and we've got 5.5 minutes to do it.
Okay. I think this is doable, but there are some doozies in here, and I have to admit I'm not seeing many of them, so hopefully your vision is better than mine. 23 across, most desirable, starts with the letter O. It is 7 letters long, starting with O. Most desirable. Now, we can cheat and put an EST at the bottom, at the end if we want, and see if that helps us get any of the downs.
Yeah, like the sort of shiniest, you're thinking.
Yeah, exactly. I mean,
yeah.
I could be wrong, but often when it's most, it will end in est.
Okay, have we got anything else in that corner?
Nothing. We've got nothing.
Might. Well, this push 7 letters. This is 15 down. Now starts with an I from
Yeah.
Dirty Tricks. So push could be a inflect. Would that
It
be a
fits,
push?
but no, I don't feel like it would. And I was
Well
thinking-
known. 21 down is well known 5 letters.
Yeah.
Famed,
Yeah, that would fit.
just to give us something to play with.
And that would put a D as the third last letter of a 6-letter word for they're quietly spoken.
Hush. No.
Yeah. Could be people who are quietly spoken, but there's other things that are quietly spoken, like oaths, for instance. Maybe oaths are often declaimed. I don't know. We also have 17 down, which is revolutionary movements. 6 letters long, ending in S. A revolutionary movement.
I must quickly just mention Zeus snoring there in the background. Just
he's
again,
going
for any
for it.
new listeners thinking I have a terrible wind problem, that is not.
Yes, a gastrointestinal disorder.
Yeah, just to add to my current woes.
Yes.
Revolutionary movement, 6 letters. Oh, come on. I've just listened to the long Rest is History series on the French Revolution.
Yeah, I've been listening to that too.
I should have this. What are they? All the words are too long.
I
Oh,
know.
Rob.
I know. I'm
2.5 minutes. Come on.
I'm swollen, 20 across. We have no letters.
Swollen. Oh, just as a reminder as well, we're currently at 6-5 overall. So if we lose today, it's 6-all going into our Christmas special.
I know.
And if we win, we can sit back and enjoy our mulled wine without the...
Pressure. They're
Most
quietly spoken. Size? No, it doesn't fit. Damn it. Are there any types of letters or syllables that are, like in grammar, that are softly spoken, or most desirable, starting in O? We should be able to get this.
A secret is quietly spoken, but that's not...
Yeah. Yeah, that's right. They're quietly spoken, like a whispers. Most desirable, starting in O. We should be able to get that.
I think famed is very doubtful, so let's not worry too much about those
No.
the letters from that. But most desirable... Oh, the Countess is the most desirable lady in all the land. She is the... No. Oh, no. Not that many words start in O.
No.
Out something.
Oh, we're floundering, Theo. We've got this whole
We've
section.
got 45 seconds left.
We need one word and we're going to bust it open, but we're not getting any.
I know.
It's very painful.
They're quietly spoken. What, like nuns or monks?
Yes.
Monks.
Yes, but doesn't fit.
Doesn't fit, no.
No.
Librarians.
Nymphs.
Could a putsch be a revolutionary movement?
Oh, totally. Pooch. Yeah, for sure.
Yeah?
Yeah. But then it messes everything up. But it's
Yeah.
revolutionary movements.
Oh, yeah.
I was thinking
9, 8,
coups.
7.
All right.
Oh, coups, yeah. No,
Yeah, but it doesn't
they're
fit.
quite... No. Fail, Rob.
A fail.
That is it.
Oh my gosh.
What
That's
a
really
disappointment.
sad.
I thought we were motoring once we'd got
Oh yeah, I thought it was
that
done.
top right corner.
Okay, I'm gonna check, Theo. I'm gonna check the 15 down, which is push, and hopefully then we'll be able to. And we're gonna have a lot of groans. Are we ready for groans?
Yeah.
Oh, I don't like this. Push is impetus.
No, I don't like that. That's momentum, isn't it? Rather than.
Yeah, the impetus behind something. Yeah.
Yeah. No, I don't like that. I don't like that at all.
No. So
Which
most
implies, most desirable. I think it must be out something.
Yes, it's O space T and then 4 spaces. Most desirable. Swollen now starts with P, Theo.
This is annoying, Rob. It's not out. It's OPT. I don't like this either. It's optimal.
Oh, yeah. I mean, it's not desirable, but it's best or something. Yeah, optimal.
Sorry, Guardian, quick crossword. That is a really bad clue. Most desirable, optimal.
Famed is still in the running with optimal.
Famed is still in I think it is famed, actually.
But then swollen would be P space, P in
F.
4 spaces, potentially with an F as the third letter. And I can't think of Puffy.
Yeah.
Yeah. And so famed is probably right.
Yeah.
And then
Revolutionary movements is now blank Y, blank L.
they're quietly
blank,
spoken
blank.
Theo theater thing, space S, space D, space S. Shakespeare had many of these.
Oh,
I believe.
asides.
Yeah.
Ah, that's annoying.
Yeah. And then,
But they're not. That's rubbish. You see, they're not quietly spoken.
No, they're
I'm
not.
sorry to get technical. The whole point of an aside is it's like dramatic irony. It's something the audience can see and the other characters in the play cannot.
yes.
It's not. It's very rare that a character will sort of whisper something to the audience because
Yeah.
the whole device. Anyway, I'm not gonna. I'm gonna let that slide. So come on then. What's revolutionary movements? Which
space
we now have all the
Y,
letters on.
space L, space S.
I'm not sure this is a word that I know.
Not seeing it.
Oh, come on. Oh, Rob,
What is it?
they've absolutely done us. It's cycles.
Oh, wow. Yes.
Nothing to do with political revolution. It's to do with literal revolution.
Oh, my gosh.
That we should have got that.
Yes, but it is a bit cheeky.
Well, there it is.
Well, if we want any sucker, as it were,
Yeah.
Ferruccio, 1 hour ago, wrote, really tough. Took me ages and a lot of testing with letters.
Yeah, you've gone down to the comments.
Knobbly San says, oh dear, Setter and myself are on different wavelengths today.
Here, Knobbly San. I
Yeah.
totally agree with that. And then we have a very long...
Oh, and then someone wrote, well, that was all going swimmingly until the SW.
Yeah. Cracked it once I realised it wasn't anything to do with Lenin.
Yeah, i.e. the revolutionary cycle.
Yeah. I'm with you, commenters.
Ramanath says, took all day, good outing. Thanks, Setter.
Took all day.
Oh.
Ramanath, what are you doing with your time?
Clearly thinking a lot about words.
Clearly.
Crosswords done, that was fun. Now let's have a chat.
By way of closing notes,
Sir.
a couple of thoughts. I have one little story from a Christmas party I attended at the weekend, but I might just save that for our Christmas episode next week.
Very nice.
Because it is quite Christmas specific. And
All
yeah, I'm going to put that one on ice. But I will share some thoughts on the Wicked movie, which I saw yesterday.
I saw it 2 weeks ago, Theo, so I'm very poised to have a wicked discussion with you.
Let's have a Wicked off. So I write about the theatre, so I was quite au fait with the show. I have to be honest, it's not a show that I've loved in the past. I just didn't find it that sort of it quite lived up to the hype for me, but I'm not in the core kind of audience for it anyway. And I also went into this film knowing that it was only part one. And
Yes.
what they've done is take this show that on stage is about 2 hours 45, including a 20-minute interval. And they've turned just the first half into a 2 hour, 40-minute film, pretty much, which is quite the active extension.
Yes.
And I do think they could have done it in one film. I really
yes.
do. There's no need for it to be in two. Having said that, I think it has been done well, particularly the two bangers for me in that, or arguably three bangers in that first half, which are When I Meet the Wizard, Popular, and Defying Gravity. I think all of those moments really kind of land really well. My slight issue is with all the stuff in between. That does just feel like they've zoomed in heavily onto often fairly spurious detail in order to spin this out for 2.5 hours. So I did also I thought Cynthia Erivo and Ariana Grande were very good and had a good kind of chemistry together. But I do find the whole story of it quite convoluted. And
Yes.
for my kids who are not very au fait with The Wizard of Oz, because I don't think their generation is, it was quite disorientating. And actually, they kind of lost focus. And the cinema we went to is attached to a library. My daughter left after about an hour to go to. She said, "I'm just going to go to the library for a bit."
Wow.
And we're like, "Okay, fair enough." So she went off to do that. And then my son, who's only 5, started climbing over the seats and getting massively distracted by anything but what was on the screen. So I then had to take him outside and go and faff about in the foyer for a bit. So I missed for some well, I say I missed a lot of it. I mean, I in terms of the story, I obviously didn't miss that much, but I didn't see much of the scene, many of the Jeff Goldblum scenes at the end.
He wasn't bad.
Because that's when he was, But I did come back in time for Defying Gravity, which I thought was really well done. What were your thoughts, Rob?
Well, I didn't know that there was going to be a second one, so I was getting, towards hour 2:30, and I was thinking, how in God's name are they going to wrap this up? Because she has to become evil and do all kinds of stuff, and then create a scarecrow out of. Presumably, I had a pretty good idea how that was all going to happen, because you can obviously see the Wizard of Oz characters before they become Cowardly Lions and Tin Men and stuff like that in the first part. But I don't know. I mean, it's not something I would have willingly gone to on my own ever in any circumstance, but it was a weekend where my sister and our respective spouses were away. So my sister and I took our youngest sons. Well, she took her 2 sons. I took one of mine. So they loved it. My youngest is big into musical theater, and he'd seen Wicked in London. So he was thrilled to bits. He was just sitting there,
great,
just loving every bit of it. But I don't particularly like singing in my movies or my stage plays at all, even though I am a singer. Oddly enough, I really detest musical theater, so that was hard for me.
It's definitely not your film. If you detest musical theater, that would have been a tough watch.
It was. I mean, I've seen a lot of musical theater because I have a family that likes it, so I saw it a lot as a kid. I found Ariana Grande. I didn't know anything about her. I knew the name, and then I just saw this person come on stage who literally looked like an AI had sort of put her out as this exact sort of blonde person for this role. Like, she could not have been better programmed. Yeah. And then Jack, my sister, said, "Oh, she's a pop star. I can't remember her name." And at the end, she looked it up, and I was like, "Oh, that's who Ariana Grande is. Okay, cool." I mean, I actually think she did a fabulous job in that role, as did the actress who I can't remember her name, but who played, I can't remember her name.
Cynthia Erivo.
Right, and she played, I can't remember again who the Wicked Witch's name was, Helsbeth or I don't know, whatever. Anyway, the point is they both were very good at what they did. Elphaba. There you go.
Elspeth.
Something like that.
Yeah.
So, as musicals go, it was fine. I'm not counting down the days till episode 2, but I'm pretty sure I'll end up watching it.
So my thing about musicals, obviously I have seen many of them over the years and reviewed a fair number of them as well. I don't share your aversions to the genre, as you can probably imagine. Having said that, I do have some sympathy with them, because I think when done badly or done cynically, they can feel incredibly formulaic and predictable, and just the music is kind of sapped of any real meaning. But at their best, when done really well, I think the music acts as a sort of emotional magnifier that does, in the way that opera used to, a few hundred years ago, but sort of elevate a drama to something that kind of gets you more viscerally. Yeah. Which I think that had hints of. As I say, it's certainly not my favourite musical by any measure, but yeah, I mean, I actually interviewed Cynthia Erivo several years ago. I shared a link to it on Twitter just
because she is British, right?
Earlier, she is British, and it's what's been really nice is to sort of watch her trajectory. That she's really she was a very known and respected actor in the UK for a number of years, and did a series of shows over here that made a big mark here, but not necessarily internationally. But we all knew how good she was, and now, of course, America has very much discovered her. Yeah, and I think she is someone who manages to both sing it very well, but also act it very well, and do it in a way that feels genuine without being cheesy. And I think that is a really rare thing in a
Oh, yeah.
musical theatre. In the way, I suppose, I think Lin-Manuel Miranda does this very well as well, where he just does it with total conviction and total passion and total kind of originality and grit.
Yeah.
But obviously he's still a musical theatre performer.
Yeah.
So, yes, anyway, I think she's great, and it's been...
She has a very expressive face.
She does, and
Incredible. Like the range of
Yeah.
emotions that she can convey very subtly is quite impressive, actually, especially through green makeup.
You should watch, incidentally, there's quite a good interview with Stephen Schwartz on YouTube that was done by Classic FM, where they go into the musicality of Defying Gravity, and he reveals the debt he owes to Beethoven in the refrain. You know, that dun, 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 that comes at the beginning. He says that's stolen from Beethoven, and he plays the section of Moonlight Sonata that I thought that was nice. You know, I think he's got real chops, Stephen Schwartz, as a composer, and he's doing it, you know, again, not doing it cynically, doing it full-blooded and whatever. So yeah. But I see, I haven't seen the show for many years. I can't quite remember much of Act 2, and certainly to my mind the best songs in the show have already featured in part 1, so I'm interested to see how presumably there'll be a number of reprises in part 2.
Presumably. I think Defying Gravity will probably come back in some way, shape, or form during her transformation to evil. You know,
Yes.
and one of the monkeys will be singing a duet with her, tempting her into evil, and she'll be trying to fight it. But the gravity of evil will be pulling her towards Monkey Army and her castle of evil.
Rob, you should be in movies.
Yeah.
You really should. I could see you sitting in a writer's room just laying out the beats of the story in a fairly kind of tired and cynical way while sipping on your coffee, you know?
Yeah, exactly. Tired and cynical is the right adjective.
On which note, should we draw a veil on today's witterings and resume next week for a bumper load?
Yes, sir. Bumper load of Christmas, everyone. The crackers will be cracking with all manner of Christmas surprise. So
Absolutely.
tune in next week for that. Or, you know what? On Christmas Day, just go and hide away from all the awfulness for an hour in the bathroom and listen to Two Across. But we'll let you decide how you do that. Until then, you have been listening to Two Across. We thank you very much for joining us this week. We are trying to build this thing. We would absolutely greatly appreciate the smallest of gestures, just to even just give 5 stars and a quick review on any platform you listen to. It helps to tell the algorithm that people are there and listening, and maybe gets it to suggest it to other people. And of course, you yourself can always suggest it to friends and family, and that would be great. And if you don't feel like doing that, well, just keep listening. We appreciate that too. Thanks for your time, and speak next week for the Christmas Spectacular.